Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I, we guys were waiting for you for so long. I have introduced you to them, and I think now the wait is over. You can take over this platform.
Yes.
And yeah,
Okay.
so
Am
guys,
I fine?
yeah, ma'am, you're audible. And guys, please comment if you have any issue with the voice and viewing aspect.
Is light okay?
Ma'am, if you could just focus a bit more towards, like,
Okay.
yeah, better now, ma'am.
Is the light? There is light enough. So
Sure. Yeah, ma'am, this is okay now. We can
fine.
proceed.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure.
Fine.
Ma'am, I have already told them that we were really sorry for the delay and we will be continuing right now. And they can ask us whatever questions they have and we'll address them at the end of the session.
Fine.
Uh,
Fine. Fine.
yeah,
So
ma'am. So, ma'am,
okay.
should we start? Yeah, ma'am. Yes, now we can start, ma'am.
Okay. I'm starting now.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Okay. It's a very important statement which I remember, and that is no health without mental health. Okay, this is very important because there is evidence that mental well-being is extremely important for our physical health, that is lifestyle diseases we see, and that it can help us to achieve our most of the goals we set for ourselves. Many factors influence our well-being. Remember that. Evidence shows that the actions we take and the way we think have the biggest impact on our mental well-being. If we think positively, productively, the things probably outcome of whatever we do, whatever we think will be the best one. Okay, and this is a very important perspective. Mental well-being. Now, when I'm before I go into the panic, anxiety and depression, I want you to understand what is mental well-being contributes. It contributes in maintaining a very productive relationship. It helps in functioning in social surrounding with competency. It performs, extremely well in the school or in the job situation. It contributes functioning at the expected level of our age. I mean, everybody's age probably has got some kind of demands, expectation, and intelligence also. I mean, the functioning improves and involve yourself in other significant social, cultural, and spiritual activities. Mental well-being generally connects there. And remember that if we have mental well-being intact, we probably start using most of the stress reduction techniques effectively. Okay, what is mental health? But I'm talking so much about mental well-being. So what is mental health? I'm not going to tell you in a very complicated definition. There are many definitions. But what, mental health is about our uniqueness. We are unique in this world. It has impact on our day-to-day life. It has impact on our health. It has impact on our subjective well-being and quality of life. And it also improves mental health is improves upon life satisfaction and happiness in general. It has got linkage with our creativity and our productivity. So mental health is a very important perspective, including all these areas of our life. Understanding mental health is a broad term, okay, which includes a wide range of mental illness, is a conditions which affect the way, three areas important, in the way you feel, you think, and you act. And that is when it gets disturbed, there is an issue of the mental illness. It can also have impact on the ability to get through day-to-day life. People who are mentally ill generally find it difficult, to go through daily chores. Mental illness can be caused and influenced by several different factors. But very important now, with so many investigations like PET scan, like MRI, CT scan, many investigations which are now available. But what is important in mental illness is to know biology and genetics of a person. That is neurotransmitters which are involved, and mental illness is now the field where we think about neurotransmitters and think about the treatment, the person's personality and environment and life events. Remember that negative life events generally start precipitating mental illness like depression, like schizophrenia also. Everyone feels anxious, sad, and depressed from time to time. In lockdown situation, many of us were very anxious, and it is a normal response to stressful situation and difficult situation, because if we don't feel anxious, maybe we suspect if there is a brain or not. So when we have the brain, it's going to react to the situation. Severe or ongoing feeling of depression and anxiety that deteriorates our day-to-day functioning, our social and occupational performance, can be the signal of an underlying mental illness or mental health problem. So we probably need to understand that so far so good, but the minute things start deteriorating, we have to start attending to the whole aspect of the mental illness. Now, mental health, how it happens, okay? Remember that mental illness never happens overnight, okay? And it generally emerges slowly. They frequently begin with the gradual changes in our thoughts, feeling and behavior. Like somebody may becomes, absent-minded. Suddenly somebody does the things differently, which others do not understand why. Okay, mental health problems are widespread and common. It's not that they are, unique. 1 in 4 people, remember this is 1 in 4 people, will have a mental illness at some point in their lifetime. You may need external support like a psychiatric consultation if you observe alteration in the manner you think, you act and you feel. Because if it is troublesome, then that is the signal where we will need the intervention. And if you feel you require help for your mental illness or mental health problem, I don't think you should keep lingering on. Try to get medical treatment as soon as possible, because if the mental illness becomes chronic, then it becomes more difficult in terms of the recovery and the quality of life. What is a mental health problem? Overall wellness of how you think, regulate your feelings and behavior, that is important. But when there is a significant disturbance in this mental functioning, there is definitely mental health problem. People think that they probably would improve just by improving their willpower. Please don't get into that kind of assumption, because as body gets illness, even the brain, we have the brain in the body. So it is like any other medical illness. Psychiatric illness also would need, the treatment and the intervention. So this is where we have to understand that mental illness is a very important perspective. How do we identify? Now, this is a very important, because many times people do not understand that they have mental illness. So a medical history of mental health disorders or physical health also is important, to understand from the family, and a comprehensive physical examination to discover or rule out any medical condition that may give rise to mental illness symptoms. Okay, very often in sometimes in encephalopathies, the first symptoms are symptoms of mental illness. So thorough physical examination is very important. Inquiry about your existing worry. Why are you worried? Why are you seeking help is very important, because sometimes people don't, try to say about their suicidal ideation. And we need to understand that if there is a suicidal ideation, as a mental health professional, as a psychiatrist, I would be extra alert to help that person. Now the questions about how new life events in your life, like trauma, now it is COVID-19, social relationship, job loss, death of a friend or a relative, failure in the exam, can be possibly precipitating, how you think, feel or behave and give rise to mental illness. There are a lot of questionnaires and formal tests also. I mean, the way in the medical illness, you do so many medical tests. So there are similar kind of tests, what we call psychological tests, are available in the mental illness, which require to be done sometimes to find out the nature of pathology and what kind of personality person has. Okay, questions about past and current alcohol and drug use. This is important in mental illness. Any addiction, plays important role. That includes even tobacco. A history of trauma, abuse, domestic violence, family crises, or other major life events like debt. We must understand. For example, our farmers sometimes, they commit suicide simply because there are extra unmanageable life events like death. Okay, questionnaire or interviews completed by someone who knows you well is very important. Like, we just don't go by asking the patient or the client, but we also need a good, a realistic history by objective data, and especially that objective data is from the key relative, which is a very important perspective. Now we will look at the depression. Okay, now depression is a very common illness and very, very common in the women than men, and it is doubly common in the women. And remember that depression and anxiety are different conditions, but they commonly occur together. Okay, so sometimes people don't understand. In psychiatry, what we find, most of the people start talking about, oh, they feel depressed, they feel nervous, but these are the general symptoms. Okay, depression is a specific illness. It is a mood disorder that involves a persistent feeling of sadness, loss of interest, loss of sleep, loss of appetite, loss of weight, and very often there is helplessness, hopelessness, and worthlessness. It is different from the mood fluctuations which we see regularly, because this goes for a longer time, and this, hampers the person's functioning. In fact, very good students land up doing worse when they have depression. So we have to take into account this particular symptom. And then when we talk about depression, we have to focus on suicide.
And what is that fine line between anxiety and depression? How do we identify whether it is anxiety or depression? Like, how will you address that?
Yeah. Anxiety is generally, the symptoms profile is different. It is palpitations, it is feeling dryness in the mouth, tremulousness, and some difficulty in swallowing. So they are a very lot of somatic symptoms. But depression is generally mood symptoms. And remember, depression is little more serious and severe because the suicidal ideas are more common in depression than anxiety. We will see anxiety and panic attacks also in this talk. Why suicide? Why should we think about suicide? Remember that suicide is a one important condition. You have to do everything to prevent it. Once suicide happens, nothing can be done. And most of us have, experience about the suicide of somebody dear one to us. And then we keep blaming that, why didn't I take action at that time? And that repent is of no use once it happens. So remember that mind with suicidal ideation and plan is so tortured, so painful, and individual may not be thinking rationally at that time. See, feeling dead is a feeling everybody may have, but when the person is seriously suicidal, he or she needs help. Okay, so it is a complex behavior, not a single factor which we can identify which contribute into it. Our seeing hatred and our clear disappointment, repentance and great sorrow about someone who has committed suicide, is something which is an obstacle in understanding suicidal mind, because we start blaming how can or he does it. Probably this person would have thought about parents, thought about wife, thought about children. Well, it's not that easy, because that agony is very severe and very difficult for a person to cope up with it. Okay, what are the causes of suicidal behavior? It is, first thing, it is a cry for help. It is keep inviting attention for their challenge, their torture. It happens in severe depression, especially when it is with hopelessness. Okay, it also happens in psychosis. In fact, we have seen suicide happen, getting psychosis front. People come with the suicide attempt, and then we identify psychosis in many patients. It is an impulsive act in many of the patients who take alcohol or drugs. It presents of painful terminal illness like cancer, which forms little or no hope, for getting okay, can be associated with suicide and personality disorder. There is some personality like borderline personality, is frequently you would see that they're slashing their hands. Okay, so this is a very, very important perspective. And important things of suicidal behavior is we have to probably start identifying these ideas of the suicide in a person. Okay, their experience, their circumstances. We must be quick clinically to identify that this is a high risk person. Okay, if there is a prior history of the suicide, maybe within a year time, that okay, because if those feelings, then there is the reason why person will go ahead with suicide. Very often relatives don't like to say that their son or their child is suicidal because they feel stigmatized. But remember that there is no reason why one should feel stigmatized. If we have chest pain, we rush to cardiologist. Similarly, if there is a suicide, we have to take our relative to psychiatrist immediately and not wait, because if we wait, maybe we will never have time to save that person. Okay, and nearly every one of us can simply recognize the physical pain, but we must learn to recognize the psychological pain of the person, which is a very important.
How do we differentiate it as a psychological problem than the physical one? Like you said, the person might have chest pain, so we go to cardiologist. But how do we recognize that it is related to some psychological issue, and how can we deal with it?
Yeah, it's a very important question, and I'm coming to that. Okay, yeah. Basically we have to identify when do we need professional help. Okay, so when you experience feeling of anxiety and worry, we all get worried, stressed out from time to time, but anxiety could be the sign of mental health issues if it is constant and interfere all the time. It is there for a long time. But other symptoms of anxiety would include heart palpitation, shortness of breath, headache, restlessness, racing mind. So these are the things, and if they remain there in a healthy person for a long time, yes, that person would need help. Then feeling of depression and sad. If you notice that your friend has a lost interest, hobbies you used to share or in the activities you used to share comfortably, then there is something wrong there. If they have also seemed sad or irritable for the last few weeks, couple of weeks or more, lacking in motivation and energy, they feel lethargic, they feel teary, crying all the time, they might be dealing with the depression. So we have to identify these issues. See, there are emotional outbursts. Everyone has the mood for it. But sudden and dramatic changes in the mood, remember that, such as extreme distress, anger, throwing things, rage can be symptom of mental illness. So if this comes suddenly, we have to, be alert about it. Okay, and sleep problems. Now, this is very important, as fever is indicative of so many problems like COVID, like swine flu, like malaria, like dengue. Sleep disturbance is a very important signaling problem of mental health issues or mental illness. Generally, we need 7 to 8 hours sleep each night. Persisting changes to a person's sleep pattern could be a symptom of mental illness. Generally, getting up 2-3 hours earlier than regular time, is a very important sleep symptom of depression. Insomnia could be a sign of anxiety or substance abuse. Sleeping too much, too little could also indicate sleeping disorder, or psychosis. Professional help also required if you observe weight and appetite change. In the era where people want to keep weight at a lower side, okay? But if you lose few kilos, within a short time, and there is a fluctuating weight, rapid weight loss could be one of the important warning sign of mental illness like depression or eating disorder like anorexia nervosa. Other mental health issues include loss of appetite and weight loss too. And that's the reason why these regular symptoms are very important. The another important symptom is a withdrawal behavior. Okay, suddenly person become quiet and the person was playful, extremely happy, energetic, and suddenly why he became so withdrawn? Remember, all of us like quiet time occasionally, but withdrawing from life, especially if this is a major change, could indicate mental illness. If a friend or loved one is regularly isolating themselves from others and prefers to be alone in the corner, remember that if it is happening too often, it is a signal of mental illness. Depression, bipolar, psychotic disorder are, important diagnosis where we see quiet or withdrawal behavior. Refusing to join in social activities also is the beginning of, very often a beginning of mental illness. Feeling guilty or worthless, which is a very important symptom in depression. The people feel that I'm a failure, I'm a good for nothing, it's my fault, I have done harm to others. So these are all cognitive distortions which we see in the depression, okay? Your friend or loved one may need help if they are frequently criticizing or blaming themselves, because they just start and then they go ahead with the suicide. So guilt is a very important symptom which we need to identify if we have to prevent suicide. And if there is a guilt that I have done wrong to people, then you have to take that person, into the hospital for a treatment. Other of course psychiatry are, I think that can be a different topic altogether, is the addictive behaviors like tobacco, alcohol, charas or cannabis, brown sugar, cocaine. That can be topic in its own right. But these are very important aspect in the psychiatry, especially anxiety and depression, because they are all linked. We will look at the panic attack now. Remember, a panic attack can occur suddenly and without warning. And suddenly it is an impending doom and people get scared. Symptom may come on gradually and peak after about 10 minutes. But very often people, before they understand, they feel that, oh, there is an impending doom. They probably will die because of that suffocation, chest pain, difficulty in swallowing, chills, shaking, sweating, nausea, stomach pain, tingling, numbness, feeling that death is imminent, okay, rapid heartbeat, okay, feeling like they're fainting. So these are really, really scary symptoms. You know, the people who get those panic attacks, they only know what kind of troublesome symptoms they are, and they require to be, you know, attended quickly. What is the difference between panic and anxiety? Now, this is very important because sometimes you feel that aggravated or serious anxiety symptoms look like a panic. But remember that anxiety is typically related to something that's perceived as stressful or threatening. For example, I feel that, okay, my relative has COVID-19 and he is in ICU. So whether he would survive or not, then anxiety comes because there is that stimulus there. Panic attacks are more often occurs out of the blue. Suddenly, I mean, there is nothing in the air. There is nothing in the life event, okay? Anxiety can be mild, moderate, or severe. For example, it may be happening in the back of your mind all the time. You are reading, you are going to the market, but there is anxiety, you know, at the back of your mind. Panic attacks, on the other hand, remember that mostly involve severe disruptive symptoms. Suddenly, person throws down, you know, and just tells that, oh, I am not going to survive. I'm going to die. So it is that kind of acute attack, okay? During a panic attack, there is a, you know, physical symptoms that are often more intense than the symptoms of anxiety. You know, the person can't tolerate. Anxiety can be gradually built up. Panic attacks come suddenly, abruptly, and without any warning signal. So we have to understand what is panic and what is anxiety. And remember that there are similar risk factors in both. Both of them, they may be experienced trauma or witnessing traumatic event. Sometimes the traumatic event is witnessed in the childhood, which is a very important perspective. So we have to take detailed history, find out whether in the childhood was there sexual assault or was there any violent behavior. Experiencing a stressful life event such as the death of a loved one or a divorce can also give rise to anxiety or panic. Experiencing ongoing stress and worries such as work responsibilities, conflict in the family, every day there is a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law fight, or there is a financial worries. So then there will be either anxiety or panic if it is serious. Living with chronic health condition like life-threatening illness, maybe severe diabetes, blood pressure, okay, having anxious personality, which is a very important. People generally don't let us know that their personality is anxious, and we really find out, we do psychological testing, because when we plan the treatment, we must know whether this person was well-adjusted personality or anxious personality right from the beginning, because then therapies will change, okay? Having another mental health disorder such as depression, you can see anxiety and panic in both, okay? Using alcohol also, you know, we can see in the anxiety symptom. So just remember that in all these disorders, whether it is depression, anxiety, panic, there is a change in thinking, behavior, or feeling as seen in other mental illnesses. Okay, there may be subtle changes to a person's feeling, but the changes later are obvious to them and obvious to everybody else. Okay, ongoing and significant changes could be the sign that they are developing a mental health issues. Okay, and remember that if something doesn't seem quite right for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the person must know that this is a time for me to check for my mental health issues or psychological symptoms. Okay, and remember, as in the medical illnesses, mental illness are absolutely scientific. They are based on the neurotransmitter troubles like dopamine, you know, like serotonin or adrenaline, noradrenaline. So we have to take them seriously. Just don't start, you know, trying that let me improve my energy, let me improve my willpower, let me become more confident and more energetic. No, if this exists, you have to quickly go to the doctor and check yourself. Treatments because the biological nature of the mental illness like depression, anxiety, panic, and the involvement of the neurotransmitters, brain changes, we have to introduce to treatment which are specific neurotransmitter oriented. They may be antidepressant or anti-anxiety treatment, and with the proper supervision. I mean, anybody can't go on the counter and buy the drugs, and they are not allowed now. They won't get it. But all the psychiatric drugs, they should be given under the supervision. Relaxation and yoga, deep breathing will be helpful in such a patient. Mindfulness, which is a very important, there can be separate lecture, Rucha, you can take for them. That's a very important change in the lifestyle. Psychotherapy along with the medical treatment is very important, like interpersonal therapy, where you start balancing and rectifying the interpersonal problems. Cognitive therapies, where you recognize the maladaptive or the negative thinking pattern and changing thought patterns and behavior, and start teaching the person when they should identify and what changes they require in their thinking system. Recovery